Well, it's a new year, and that means we are all thinking ahead to the PMEA Conference and All-State Festival. Today, we are starting a new feature where we are going to interview the All-State conductors. We start with our first two today. That's all on PMEA's Take Note podcast, presented by the Slippery Rock University Music Department. Well, as I said, everyone, we are starting a new feature here on Take Note with this podcast. We are going to be interviewing all 6 of the All-State conductors that will be part of the PMEA All-State Festival this coming April. We are going to talk to 2 of those conductors today, and then 2 of them in the beginning of February, and 2 of them in the beginning of March. And we hope you'll get a little bit of insight into them and what students can look forward to as part of the All-State Festival. So today we start with our concert band conductor, Dr. Jonathan Helmick from Slippery Rock University, and our All-State choir conductor, Dr. Amelia Garbisch from Bloomsburg University. We'll start with Dr. Jonathan Helmick. All right, we are here with Dr. Jonathan Helmick. He is associate professor at Slippery Rock University, director of bands there, marching band, concert band, you name it. He is the guy there. But luckily for us, he is this year's All-State concert band director. Jonathan, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Pleasure to be here.
Well, we are looking forward to April, so we are glad to have you here for a few minutes to kind of give us a little preview and kind of what to expect out of the All-State Concert Band. So let's start with kind of the big story of this. Let's talk about the musical program. Talk to us about some of the highlights.
You got it. Well, as far as looking forward to this, I don't think anybody's been looking forward to this more than me at this point, especially the program in addition to meeting the students. So the program for me is all works that I've actually done with our wind ensemble at Slippery Rock University, because I've, either for some reason like run across a composer, like with our first piece, Hymn to the Sun, that we're going to do. I was actually at the Midwest Conference one year in December, which for those of you who are watching, the Midwest Conference is this big convention of people who are so excited about band that we have to get together once a year and just talk about it for a week, right? So
that should be on the brochure. That's the perfect description.
Feel free. It's not proprietary. Forward it along. So I was walking through this big exhibition hall, and there's instruments everywhere, and publishers and music and composers. And I was trying to find someone that I was supposed to meet. Couldn't find them, and just sort of ran across this booth, and this guy reaches out to me, and he grabs my arm, and he brings me over, and he doesn't say a whole lot. And he kind of points to headphones and gives me headphones, and he starts playing music. And I'm like, well, I just got taken for a ride, And so I'm listening to this piece called Hymn to the Sun. And I'm like, I'm not familiar with it. I'm not familiar with the composer. And the piece opened up, and it got to the first like fast section in there. And it was so electrifying. I was stunned. And I looked at the guy, and I saw his name tag, because I was sitting down at this point. So we're at eye level with his name tag. And it was the same name as, the person who wrote this piece. I thought, no way. This is incredible. So it was just by happenstance, that life just kind of takes you in that direction. But this piece was written for the 40th anniversary of the Tokai City Wind Music Band for, like I said, their 40th anniversary. And the challenge for the composer, they gave him like a little prompt or a theme to sort of write on, was, for 40 years, we did our activity as if we were a family. We had new experiences, welcoming new members, supporting and helping one another. And I couldn't think of a better way to start off our concert than, as PMEA comes back together as a family, something in that sort of spirit and vein. And I assure you there is something in this for all of you that's going to be performing this piece. It's really electrifying and exciting. The next one, Magnolia Star, is written by Steve Danu, and it sort of fits into the content of the piece. Fits pretty well into like a blues sort of scale, I guess you could say, or at least it's kind of a tip of the hat to that genre. But in the composer wrote this basically. There was a railroad line that connected Chicago all the way down to New Orleans, right? And it was a railroad track that, in addition to carting industry and all of that kind of stuff, it brought music and art from the Delta South all the way up to Chicago. So he borrows from blues to, sort of infuse this piece with that kind of style. But more specifically, Magnolia Star was one of the trains that ran on that line. And so hence we get all of the railroad sounds that are in there. Saxophones, you're going to have a ball with that. I can assure you. The next piece is Of Our New Day Begun. I would ask for a show of hands of how many people out there have seen this, but obviously I can't see you or have heard this piece. It's pretty well known at this point. It was written by composer Omar Thomas, who is just phenomenal and being celebrated for all of the wonderful richness that he's writing, and it seems like he's writing faster than we can play it at this point. All of his music. But this piece was written by him to honor the 9 lives that were lost when there was an attack on a church in Charleston, South Carolina, the Mother Emanuel church. And a gunman came in and essentially, in an act of domestic terrorism, attacked this African-American community during their worship. And he writes this piece. When you hear the piece and when you perform the piece, you're going to hear his heart and soul in it, and what that act of violence means to the community, our country, everything. And it is when you hear the piece, you're going to notice, if you've ever heard "Lift Every Voice and Sing," that's one of the songs it is the song upon which he bases the entire piece. And it cycles through from the beginning. You hear it in like oboe solo, and then a few other instruments pick it up. And then it sort of comes to this climax with foot stomping and clapping that's reminiscent of, or the tip of the hat towards, the African-American worship tradition. But also it's really coincides with the part of the lyrics that say, let us march on till victory is won, right? And so he borrows from that and pulls in the symbolism of the entire ensemble marching together, which I think is just beautiful. And when you hear that, I hope you keep that in mind. The last piece is just so much fun. It is this Spanish Paso Doble march, and there's rarely a concert, if ever, has there ever been a concert that I have programmed that doesn't have a march. So just throwing that out there. But the composer who wrote this piece was a clarinet player. And by the time he was 11 and in Spain, he was the principal E-flat soloist for his community band. So I know I already feel behind saying that. At 11 years old, mastering the E-flat clarinet, good for you. But he, being a clarinet player, you'll note that the clarinet parts are really fun, and there's a solo in there for one of our clarinet players, one of our luckiest, that gets to perform that. So when you listen to that piece, keep that in mind, that he's essentially writing it for your section.
I love that. Yeah. And I always love the backstories behind the pieces. And I think that for those of you who will be in these in this ensemble and in the other ensembles, that just adds so much to it as you're playing it. And I mean, I love these pieces. We were talking a little bit earlier. This is gonna be a wonderful program you've put together. So let's talk about the students. What are you hoping they're going to get out of being in the All-State Concert Band with you on the podium?
That is such a hard question to answer. I think starting off, kind of, I guess, moving from the program, why don't we start there? Whenever I program for an honors ensemble, I'm thinking about the students in the group and also the audience. I want to make sure that everybody walks away with this with something that they remember. And after a concert, I usually ask the students that perform, as well as the audience members, what was your favorite piece? And there is nothing more satisfying than hearing everyone say a different piece when I ask that question, right? I think if you do that, then you've really hit the mark. I hope that this experience, because if we think about this, what it's been 3 years since really, there's been a PMEA All-State ensemble that's performed live, right? I hope that everyone just falls even more deeply in love with music and connecting with each other after this experience. And when we're on that stage, that you feel like you can be yourself and let go and share your gifts with each other as well as the audience. Keeping in mind that that ensemble that you're about to be a part of is special, because there will never, ever be another ensemble just like this. It's yours. You literally own this year. It's your experience and it's your performance. And I hope you cherish that.
Yeah, we all can look back on our experiences and we have that feeling. And I love that you want to pass that on and make sure that they're all feeling that too. Now you've returned to the stage already a bit with your ensembles at Slippery Rock. I guess I'm a little curious for you to comment on that, but more in the context of, what are you looking forward to in returning to the stage to conduct, an all-state honors ensemble? What is it like after these years? I mean, it seems you say it's 3. Is that it? I mean, it just seems like it's, it's been so long since we've all been making music together. What is that feeling for you?
Well, it's, once music's in your blood, it never goes away, right? And I don't know, there's been this feeling of coming home this year with being able to give live concerts again. And I think everybody feels that, regardless of your musical experience, right? If you're middle school all the way through college, professional, so on and so forth, it's just something that one of my mentors used to say, Dr. Friskillo, when I studied at the University of Southern Mississippi, he used to say, for those who know, no explanation is required. For those who don't, none will suffice. And it's true, once you've sort of jumped into it, you're in it for life, in some way, and connected to it. So I think after this long vacation, hiatus, a miserable experience, I'm trying to be more positive, but let's be honest, it is like coming home. And for All-State, this is going to be the first opportunity that I'll be able to conduct the PMEA All-State. So this will be, for some of you, your very first All-State. This is going to be my first All-State with Pennsylvania. So I look forward to sharing that experience together.
All right. So then for the students that are listening who are going to be in the All-State Concert Band, what is the one thing you want them to know about you before they arrive at Kalahari and the Poconos, before that first downbeat?
Well, good grief. One thing. I'm not sure that I can give you just one.
Okay,
but
that's all right.
I'll give you what I can. I have a very audible laugh, so get used to it. You can't miss it. So no, but I think that I think that when we have this experience, right, putting this in context, what we get to do, I really cherish the opportunity to do this interview and talk to you before we really get to meet. But in designing this program, I really do hope you get something out of it, right? That you connect with it in some way. And it's an opportunity for us to let our hearts open up and sort of fill in that space that we can't fill with words. And I think that's how I really look at music in general. We can see it in each other's eyes, when the magic happens. We might not be able to describe it, but we know. And I think having that understanding that that's kind of in my heart, when you do this, when you practice this music, when you listen to it, I hope that, beyond the notes and the rhythms, you fall in love with the meaning behind it.
Yeah. I love that. I'm looking forward to this so much. All of the ensembles being back in person. Your concert program, I'm looking forward to all this live music making in person. Dr. Jonathan Helmick, thank you for taking some time to chat with us today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
And thanks for being our all-state conductor for the concert band. Much
Yep.
appreciated.
See you in April.
Yeah, that's right. We'll see you at Kalahari. Well, with us now is Dr. Amelia Garbisch. She is the Director of Music Education and Assistant Professor of Choral Music at Bloomsburg University. But she also will be the conductor for the All-State Chorus this year. Amelia, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Mark. I'm so happy to be here with you today.
Well, we're very excited to have you conducting the All-State Chorus. So we want to talk a little bit about that today. So let's dig right in. What I think people usually know first is the musical program. So talk to us about the program that's selected for the 2022 All-State Chorus Ensemble.
Well, great. Yes, Mark, I'm happy to discuss the music with you today. I think we've got a really fun program scheduled for these students and for the teachers who have to help work on the music, and of course for myself and the accompanists as well. We're excited about these selections. For me, I think one of my favorite three pieces is the Libby Larsen Western set. It's Buffalo Gals, it's Green Grows the Lilacs, and the Old Chisholm Trail. And they're really fun. They're not performed a whole lot. They're exciting to learn. They're exciting to perform. And I think they're also really nice for the audience, which is something I try to keep in mind whenever I'm programming. It's how can I engage the audience in a way that they will both enjoy the program, also maybe learn something from the program, and not just feel kind of like, oh, this is one stodgy choral piece after another, but some slow, some fast, some exciting, major, minor, a cappella, accompanied. I try to vary my program a whole lot. The other piece that I'm really excited to teach these students is the Kyrie from the Kodai Missa Brevis. And again, this is a piece that's not done a whole lot. The whole Missa Brevis isn't done a whole lot. And I love this piece, and I'm not going to give away too much because I need to save a bit of what it's about to teach the students. But basically, Kodai wrote this in a period in his life where he was living through war, and he wasn't sure if he was going to survive. And so he wrote this Mass in Brief, basically, Missa Brevis, because he wanted hope. And for me, the Kyrie has this trio of high female soprano voice that to me is the angels, coming down and granting peace and hope, and just allowing Kodai to have a bit of a compositional and musical release in a very, very stressful time. And I can't wait to do it with these high school students. I think it's going to be gorgeous. And it's the kind of piece that you can do with hundreds or with 12. And I think it's going to be really exciting for the students to learn that and work on that with me. It's just a little snippet, Mark, just a snippet.
I really appreciate that you say that you like to pick these pieces that maybe aren't regularly done, because I think that is part of one of the great things about advancing into an ensemble like this is you're getting exposed to some music that you wouldn't necessarily be involved with or get to perform in your high school program.
Well, I think that's exactly right. The whole goal for these students is hopefully to have a wonderful musical experience, a wonderful community experience. And I know you're going to ask me later about, what I'm hoping for the students to get out of it, but I'll give you a preview of that. I really do hope the students form community together. And I think mastering some of this music that is a little bit more challenging than maybe some of them get in their just regular high school choir, or even their auditioned in select high school choirs. I'm hoping that by taking on the challenges of some of these pieces that are often only programmed in college or even community level ensembles, that I'm very hopeful that they will, well, I know they'll rise to the occasion, but I'm hoping they'll take deeper meaning from the music that we've selected for this program, and they'll be able to really internalize the emotional depth of some of the music as well.
Well, that was going to be my next question, actually. What do you want them to get out of it? So that's kind of the musical piece you want to get out, but you also talked a little bit about community. Yeah. Is that part of what you're going for for them to get out of this?
Yeah, that's part of my whole thing. If you read my philosophy of music education, I am very student-centered, very student-focused, and in my own teaching at the university and because I run our music ed chapter of NAFME and PMEA. For me, it's building that community, that we have a common goal. And of course, our goal is a wonderful musical experience and a great performance. But we also have this goal of our students achieving something together, making music together that not everyone can do, that not everyone has an opportunity to do or to learn. And so I hope at the end of it, they've made friends. I hope they have found in me a mentor or someone that they can bounce ideas off of. I hope that through this experience, the students will come away with a sense of pride, but also with a sense of accomplishment, and that they've done it together, that it's not 200 individual singers or whatever the number is, but that it's really one group built up of students from across our wonderful state, where they are really working together within their section, within the ensemble, to create this beautiful program.
Yeah, I love that. That's inspiring and makes us all look forward to it, I think. And speaking of looking forward to it, what is that feeling for you to be able to come back after this crazy, year and a half, to come back with a live honors ensemble on stage? What's that like for you?
I'm thrilled. For all of the different steps, selecting the music, learning the music. Now I'm working on making my marks in the music so I can send that off to the high school teachers. Everything down to, selecting the concert attire for myself and making the arrangements with the folks from PMEA, being here talking with you today, Mark. All of these things, I'm just so thrilled. I'm excited to be back on that stage. Back in a concert hall. Last week, I was privileged enough to be able to offer 2 live concerts with our high school, with our college choirs. And it felt great. I had chills the entire time I was conducting, turn around talking to the audience saying, how wonderful it is to be back together. And of course, the students were masked and the audience was masked, and it was fine. It worked just fine. And if that's what we have to do to make music together and be back together, then I'm happy to do it. And it's thrilling. It is just thrilling. And what's funny to me, Mark, I don't even think I realized how much I missed it until I was back doing it. In that year where we were all kind of hunkered down and just getting things done, I missed it, of course, and I knew that. But the first time I stepped out on that stage and saw the audience and saw my students' faces, well, from here up, saw their eyes sparkle with delight and pleasure, it just made me take a moment and take a deep breath and say, oh, I'm so glad to be back. So I have chills talking about it right now. And I think I'm so excited.
We're all going to feel that when in the downbeat of every single one of these all-state ensembles, because there's a special magic, I think, to an all-state ensemble as well. That we've missed, and that's going to be special for anyone in those rooms.
I think that's right. For me, whether it's a county festival or an all-state, or even a Eastern Division or national, I think whenever a student is lucky enough to participate in one of these festivals, it's magic, and it's something that they'll remember forever. And I'm really hoping that we can have just a fantastic festival for these students.
Yeah, well, from what I've heard, what you've talked about today, I'm pretty sure that that's going to be the case. So students who are listening to this, who are going to be in that ensemble, what is the one thing that you want them to know about you before they arrive in the Poconos to begin rehearsals?
The one thing I want them to know, well, I think the one thing my students would say is that I am accessible and approachable. I am not someone who's going to be negative. I want them to have fun, and I want this to really feel like a collaboration. I'm going to have all my ideas marked in my score. I know what I want. But I may say to the students, what do you guys think? Should we do a crescendo here? Should we do a sforzando? What should we try? And I might open it up to the floor and say, let's do something new, because it's their performance, not just mine, not just the accompanists. And so I'm a conductor who loves to collaborate with my singers. And so that's what I want them to know, is that in me, I hope they're comfortable raising their hand, asking questions. I hope that we will work together and not just them listening to me the entire time.
Well, I'm sure the students are looking forward to it. I can tell you're looking forward to it. We are all looking forward to it. We're all looking forward to being in the Poconos here not too long from now. Dr. Amelia Garbisch, All-State Chorus Conductor, also assistant professor at Bloomsburg University. Thanks for talking with us today.
Thank you, Mark. And can I just shout out to my home district for when I was in PMEA festivals. I was District 12 and Region 6. So I'm excited to get to work with students from where I grew up as well.
And I think that's another good point for students to be aware of, that, you know, you came through this PMEA festival system, so you know what that experience is like for them, and we just love that you're giving back now as well.
Thanks so much. I'm thrilled to do it. Every time I get to do a district or region festival in Pennsylvania, I'm so excited, and to be back in the state and to be in the PMEA system. I'm so happy and grateful for this honor.
Well, we look forward to it. And again, thank you for taking some time to chat with us.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks to the conductors for joining us and giving us a little bit of insight about what we can look forward to this April. You can find more information on the PMEA conference and the All-State Festival at pmea.net. And if you've missed any previous Take Note podcasts, you can find that at pmea.net/take note or in your favorite podcast app. Thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing you at the conference in the Poconos in April, and also on the next Take Note podcast.